What if the most dangerous enemy you'll ever face is the one whispering in your own ear, the one telling you it's not worth it? That voice of doubt, that cynical shadow that follows every ambitious thought, every spark of hope. It's a ghost in your own machine, a traitor in your own command center, and its one mission is to convince you to surrender before the battle has even begun. Ever wondered why your effort doesn't seem to equal your results? Why you can pour your heart, your soul, your sleepless nights into a project, a goal, a dream, only to watch it fall short, leaving you with nothing but the bitter taste of exhaustion and the confirmation of that nagging fear. You're just not enough. You feel it, don't you? That deep, resonant ache of futility. It's the feeling of pushing a boulder uphill, only to have it roll back over you just as you near the summit. It's the sting of seeing others glide past you, seemingly with a fraction of the effort, achieving the very things you crave. You've read the books. You've watched the videos. You've tried the affirmations, the journaling, the brutal workout regimens. You've declared war on your own weakness, only to find that the general of the opposing army lives inside your own head, knows all your strategies and anticipates your every move. It's a rigged game, a cruel joke, and the cynic within you, that tired, wounded part of your soul, has every right to feel the way it does. It has the evidence. It has a lifetime of receipts for every failed attempt, every heartbreak, every disappointment. That voice isn't your enemy. Not really. It's a bodyguard, a warped, overprotective, and deeply misguided bodyguard, but a bodyguard nonetheless. It was born the first time you were truly hurt by your own hope, the first time you believed in something with all your might and were let down. It learned a powerful yet corrosive lesson that day. Hope hurts. Trying is dangerous. It's safer to expect nothing, to risk nothing, to stay small. The cynic's job is to protect you from that pain again. It whispers of failure to keep you from the starting line. It magnifies the risks to obscure the prize. It reminds you of every past scar to ensure you never again expose your heart to the world. It's trying to keep you safe in a prison of your own making, and the bars are forged from your own past suffering. But in its bid to protect you from pain, it has also locked you away from your own potential. In its effort to save you from failure, it has condemned you to a life of quiet mediocrity. In shielding you from disappointment, it has robbed you of the chance for true, earth-shattering joy. The safety it offers is the safety of the tomb. In the next 30 minutes, we are going to change that. We are going to stage a jailbreak. We are going to make a bet, a final bet, a cynic's last bet. We are going to arm you with one single ancient truth, a Stoic principle so potent, so fundamental that it is designed to disarm that inner cynic for good. This isn't about chanting empty platitudes in the mirror. This is not about good vibes only. This is about spiritual warfare. This is about forging an unbreakable mental weapon, a lens through which you can view the world that filters out the noise, the fear, and the doubt, leaving only one thing in its place: your power. We are going to teach you how to finally and permanently silence the voice of doubt, not by shouting over it, but by making its arguments irrelevant. This is the path to reclaiming your mind, and with it, your life. What if I told you that nearly all of your anxiety, your stress, your procrastination, your fear? What if I told you it all stems from a single, fundamental error in thinking? A simple mistake, repeated so often it has become your default mode of operation? What if the vast reservoir of your mental and emotional energy, the very fuel for your ambition, is being systematically drained, siphoned off by 1,000 tiny leaks you don't even see? The inner cynic, your misguided bodyguard, has built its entire fortress on this one error. Its entire argument for your surrender hinges on it. The error is this: you are trying to control things that you were never meant to control. Think about it, that project at work. You worry about your boss's reaction. You worry about your colleague's opinion. You worry if the client will approve the final version, that relationship. You worry if they will love you back. You worry if they will see your worth. You worry if they will choose you, that goal. You worry about the economy. You worry about your competitors. You worry about luck, about timing, about whether the stars will align. In every one of these scenarios, where is your focus? It's on the outside. It's on the outcome. It's on the thoughts, feelings, and actions of other people. It's on variables that are and always will be utterly and completely outside of your command. This is the playground of the cynic. It loves when you focus here. Why? Because you are guaranteed to fail. You cannot, through sheer force of will, control another person's opinion. You cannot command the economy to bend to your will. You cannot ensure a perfect outcome. So when you invest your emotional energy into these things, you are setting yourself up for a fall. And when you fall, the cynic is right there, whispering in your ear, "See, I told you so. I told you it was pointless. I told you you'd get hurt. Let's not try that again." And so the prison walls get a little thicker. Now here is the Stoic truth, the one weapon that changes the entire game. The ancient philosophers, men who faced exile, political turmoil, and the randomness of Roman life, understood this principle in their bones. It is the great filter, the master key. It is this: some things are up to us and some things are not up to us. That's it. It sounds simple, almost insultingly simple, but it is the deepest and most profound truth for a life of action and peace. It is the fulcrum upon which your entire mental world can be shifted. Everything you will ever encounter in your life, every event, every person, every challenge can be sorted into one of two boxes: the box of things you cannot control and the box of things you can. What is in the first box, the one you cannot control? Almost everything. Other people's perceptions, the past, the future's final outcome, your reputation, the weather, sickness, death, the lottery numbers. These things are the domain of fortune, of fate, of the universe. To wrestle with them is to wrestle with a hurricane. You will lose. You will always lose. And you will waste all your strength in the process. This is the source of all your anxiety and fear. But the second box is small, but it contains everything that matters. What is in this box? Your choices, your will, your judgments, your actions, your mindset, your response to the things that happen, your character, your integrity, your effort. This box and this box alone is your kingdom. Here you are sovereign. Here you are the absolute ruler. Nothing and no one can touch what is in this box without your permission. This is the first win. This is the surprising truth that can change everything, starting right now. Your inner cynic has been holding you accountable for the contents of the first box. It has been judging your worth based on your ability to control the uncontrollable. It's an impossible standard, a rigged game designed to prove you are a failure. The Stoic challenge, the Cynic's last bet, is to make a radical shift, to consciously and deliberately withdraw all of your concern, all of your emotional investment from the first box, and to pour 100% of your focused, undivided energy into the second box, your kingdom. Let's make this practical. Think of that presentation you're dreading. The cynic is screaming about the uncontrollable. What if they hate it? What if you stumble over your words? What if they think you're an imposter? All of these are in the first box. You cannot control their reaction. You cannot guarantee you won't have a moment of nervousness. The Stoic response is to ignore those questions completely. They are irrelevant. Instead, you turn to the second box. What can you control? You can control your preparation. You can research until you know the material backward and forward. You can control your practice. You can rehearse your speech a dozen times. You can control your mindset going in. You can choose to see it as an opportunity to share what you know, rather than a trial to be judged. You can control your response if something goes wrong. If you do stumble, you can choose to take a breath and continue with grace, rather than fall apart. Do you see the shift? Your goal is no longer to give a perfect presentation that everyone loves. That goal is outside your control and is a recipe for anxiety. Your new goal is to prepare as thoroughly as humanly possible and to act with courage and integrity during the presentation itself. The outcome is irrelevant. Your character in the act is everything. When you make this shift, you disarm the cynic. When it screams, "You might fail," your new answer is, "Failure and success in the world's eyes are not my concern. My concern is giving my absolute best effort. My concern is acting with virtue, and that I can guarantee. In the only game that matters, the game of my own choices, I cannot lose." This is not a recipe for apathy. It is the exact opposite. It is a formula for ferocious, intelligent, and peaceful action. Imagine the sheer amount of mental horsepower you would reclaim if you stopped wasting it on things you cannot change. Imagine the focus, the clarity, the power you could bring to bear on your effort, on your work, on your character, if that was your sole domain. This is not about expecting less. It's about demanding everything from the one person you can actually command, yourself. This is the beginning of your liberation. This is how you start to take back the throne of your own mind. The ancient world was a brutal, uncertain place. One day you could be a respected senator in Rome. The next you could be exiled to a barren rock in the Mediterranean by a paranoid emperor. Fortune was a fickle goddess, and men like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius knew it intimately. They weren't philosophers in ivory towers. They were men in the arena of life, dealing with chaos, betrayal, plague, and war. Their philosophy, Stoicism, was not an academic exercise. It was a training manual for the soul, a practical guide for maintaining inner strength and purpose in a world that could strip everything from you in an instant. At the heart of this training was the principle we've just uncovered, the unwavering focus on what is within our control. Let's look at the story of James Stockdale, a fighter pilot shot down over Vietnam. He spent over 7 years as a prisoner of war in the infamous Hanoi Hilton. He was tortured, starved, and lived in solitary confinement for years. He had no control over his captors, no control over the conditions of his imprisonment, no control over if or when he would be released. By any measure, His situation was the definition of hopeless. The external world had stripped him of everything. What did Stockdale have left? What was in his second box? His mind, his choices, his character. He later said that the men who didn't make it out were the optimists, the ones who kept setting dates in their minds. We're going to be out by Christmas. Christmas would come and go. We'll be out by Easter. Easter would come and go. They died, he said, of a broken heart. Their hope was attached to something outside of their control, the date of their release. Stockdale, who had studied the Stoic philosopher Epictetus in college, took a different path. He accepted the brutal reality of his situation. He never believed he would be out by a certain date. He focused only on what he could control, day by day, moment by moment. He could control his resistance. He could control his communication with other prisoners through an elaborate tap code. He could control his own dignity. He established rules for himself and the other prisoners. No one would bow, no one would beg, they would endure the torture with defiance. He focused not on getting out, but on being the best senior officer he could be while he was in there. He poured all of his energy into his choices, his actions, his integrity. He survived, while many of the optimists did not. Stockdale's story is an extreme example, but it perfectly illustrates the power of this principle. He sealed his credibility not with words, but with his very survival. He proved that even in the face of unimaginable horror, a human being can retain their inner freedom, their power, by focusing solely on their own kingdom, the kingdom of their will. Now let's bring this into your world. You're not in a POW camp, but you face your own battles. The battle with procrastination, the battle with social anxiety, the battle against the feeling that you're an imposter, that you're not good enough. These are your captors. And the cynic in your mind is the voice of the optimist who dies of a broken heart, the voice that ties your worth to outcomes you don't command. Let's unpack the psychology of why this works. Our minds are wired to seek control. It's a survival mechanism. A feeling of powerlessness, what psychologists call an external locus of control, is a direct path to anxiety and depression. When you feel that your life is dictated by outside forces, your boss, your spouse, the economy, luck, you are in a state of learned helplessness. The cynic is the narrator of this state. It constantly points to external events as proof that your efforts are meaningless. When you consciously adopt the Stoic filter, you are performing a profound psychological shift. You are seizing your locus of control and moving it from the external world to your internal world. You are telling your brain, no, my well-being, my sense of worth, is not dependent on those chaotic, unpredictable things. It is dependent only on my own choices and actions, which are completely under my command. This is the essence of building mental toughness and emotional resilience. It's not about being unfeeling. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, wrote powerfully about grief and loss. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, wrote in his meditations about his frustrations, his fears, his struggles with other people. The Stoics were not emotionless robots. They felt it all. The difference is they did not let their emotions be dictated by external events. They saw feelings like anger, fear, and despair as judgments. Specifically, they were the result of a bad judgment, the judgment that something bad has happened to you. But what if the only thing that can truly be bad for you is a corruption of your own character? What if getting fired isn't inherently bad, but choosing to respond with bitterness and sloth is? What if being rejected by someone isn't inherently bad, but choosing to believe you are worthless because of it is? The event itself is neutral. It's just a thing that happened. It's in the first box. It's outside of your control. Your judgment about the event, your response to it, that is what makes it good or bad. And that is entirely within the second box. This is how you build a fortress inside your mind. The winds of fortune can howl outside. Storms can rage. The world can do its worst. But inside the citadel of your own mind, you remain calm. You remain in command because you have made a clear distinction between what is yours and what is not. You have stopped fighting unwinnable battles. Take a moment right now. Pause and think of the one thing that is causing you the most stress in your life. The biggest source of your anxiety. Get a clear picture of it in your mind. Now honestly ask yourself, how much of that thing is truly within your direct, absolute control? Not your influence, but your command. Strip away the other people's reactions. Strip away the final outcome. Strip away the elements of luck and timing. What is left? Is it your effort, your attitude? The next small step you can take. Be ruthless in this analysis. What is left when you discard everything that is not truly yours to command? That small remaining core is where all your power lies. That is your battlefield. That is your kingdom. Everything else is a distraction, a ghost, a phantom that the cynic uses to haunt you. By focusing on that core, you starve the ghost of its power. So far, we've dissected the anatomy of your inner cynic, understanding it not as a villain, but as a misguided protector born from the pain of misplaced effort. We've unearthed the one, simple Stoic filter to separate what is ours to command from what is not, the single most powerful tool for reclaiming your mental sovereignty. But knowing a weapon exists and knowing how to wield it in the heat of battle are two different things. A sword on the wall is a decoration. A sword in a trained hand is a decider of destinies. Next, we are going to move from defense to offense. We will learn how to actively use this Stoic truth not just to shield yourself from anxiety and doubt, but to go on the attack, to proactively charge into the territories that fear has claimed. We will turn this philosophical principle into a set of practical, tactical maneuvers to conquer procrastination, to dissolve social anxiety, and to build an unshakable core of self-mastery. The jailbreak is not just about getting out of the cell, it's about taking over the whole prison. Your real transformation is about to begin. The battlefield is your daily life. The enemy is the inertia, the fear, the hesitation that keeps you from acting. The weapon is the dichotomy of control. Now, let's drill the maneuvers. Let's apply this principle to the most common insurgents in our mental kingdom. First, the great dream killer, procrastination. Procrastination is not about laziness. It is about fear. It is the fear of the final product, the fear of judgment, the fear of failure. When you look at a large, important task, writing a book, starting a business, getting in shape, the sheer scale of it is overwhelming. The cynic in your head immediately floods your mind with all the ways it could go wrong, all the reasons the outcome might be a disaster. This is too big for you. You don't have what it takes. You're going to pour all this effort in and it's going to be for nothing. It will be embarrassing. Why even start? The cynic is focusing your attention entirely on the outcome, which is firmly in the first box. The final success of the book, the business, the fitness journey, that depends on 1,000 factors beyond your direct command. The market, the audience, your genetics, luck. By focusing on that, you become paralyzed. Here is the Stoic offensive maneuver. You look at that monumental task and you ruthlessly apply the filter. You say, the final outcome of this endeavor is not my concern. It is not up to me. It is a product of fate. You consciously release your attachment to it. This feels counterintuitive. Doesn't that kill motivation? No, it liberates it. Because then you turn to the second box. You ask the only question that matters. What is the next, immediate, controllable action I can take? You're not writing a book. That's an uncontrollable outcome. You are sitting in a chair and writing one sentence. Can you control that? Yes. That is your entire universe. That is your kingdom. And in that kingdom, you can be a king. You can write the best sentence you are capable of writing in that moment. You are not starting a business. That is a massive, terrifying abstraction. You are making one phone call. You are writing one email. You are researching one competitor. Can you control that? Yes. That is your only duty. You are not getting in shape. That is a vague, distant future. You are putting on your running shoes. You are doing one push-up. Can you control that? Absolutely. The secret to defeating procrastination is to shrink your focus, to bring your attention from the vast, uncontrollable horizon of the future into the sharp, clear, controllable pinpoint of the present moment. The Stoics called this giving your attention to the task at hand. Your job is not to build a wall. Your job is to lay this one brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. And then the next, and the next. The wall will build itself as a byproduct of your focused, virtuous action. When the cynic whispers, "But what if the wall falls down?" Your answer is now, "Whether the wall stands or falls is not up to me. How I lay this brick with care, with focus, with excellence, that is up to me. And that is all that matters." This practice, repeated daily, is how you build empires, one brick at a time, without the crushing weight of the empire on your shoulders. It is the art of acting with immense power, but with zero anxiety. Next, let's confront the crippling fear of other people, social anxiety. What is social anxiety at its core? It is the terrifying belief that you are being judged negatively by others. It is a complete and total obsession with what is going on in other people's minds. What are they thinking of me? Do they think I'm stupid, awkward, boring? Do they see how nervous I am? Notice where your focus is. It is 100% in the first box. Other people's thoughts, feelings, and perceptions are perhaps the most uncontrollable things in the entire universe. You have a better chance of controlling the tides than you do of controlling what someone else thinks of you. To base your peace of mind on securing the approval of others is to hand over the keys to your own sanity to every stranger you meet. It is a voluntary form of enslavement. The cynic thrives here. It is an expert mind reader, and it always assumes the worst. It projects all of your own insecurities onto the people around you, creating a phantom jury that is constantly finding you guilty. The Stoic offensive is radical. It requires a profound act of courage. You must consciously and deliberately abandon the goal of being liked. You must let go of the need to manage other people's impressions of you. This is terrifying because we are social creatures, but it is the only path to freedom. You apply the filter. You say, "What that person thinks of me is not in my control. It is not my business. It belongs to them." Then you turn inward to your kingdom. You ask, "What is in my control in this social situation?" Your actions, your words, your intentions, your character. So your new goal is no longer to be perceived as witty, charming, or intelligent. Your new goal is to act with virtue. What does that mean? It means your goal is to be honest, to be kind, to be a good listener, to speak your truth without malice, to be genuinely curious about the other person. Your focus shifts from being seen as a good person to simply being a good person. When you walk into a room, your mission is no longer to win approval. Your mission is to act with integrity. Can you control that? Yes. You can choose to listen attentively. You can choose to ask thoughtful questions. You can choose to be authentic, even if your voice shakes a little. If someone judges you for that, if they find you awkward or boring, that judgment is on them. It's a reflection of their own mind, their own values, not a true measure of your worth. As the Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself in his tent on the battlefield, the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do, only what you do. Imagine the liberation, the freedom to walk into any room with any group of people and to feel a sense of calm purpose, knowing that your only job is to be true to your own principles. The pressure dissolves. The frantic internal monologue quiets down. You can actually be present because you're no longer performing a desperate audition for a role you can't guarantee you'll get. You are simply being yourself, and that is a success that no one can ever take away from you. This is how you conquer social anxiety, not by becoming smoother, but by becoming more real. Finally, the ultimate battle, the imposter syndrome. The deep, gnawing feeling that you are a fraud and at any moment you will be exposed. This feeling arises when there is a gap between your external achievements and your internal sense of self. You get the promotion, you win the award, you receive the praise, but the cynic inside whispers, "You just got lucky. You fooled them. You don't really deserve this. If they knew the real you, they'd be horrified." Again, the error is one of focus. Your sense of worth has become attached to external validation, the job title, the accolades, the praise. These are all in the first box. They are things that can be given and taken away. Because you know deep down that you don't fully control these things, you can't fully integrate them into your sense of self. It feels borrowed. It feels fake. The Stoic maneuver is to shift your definition of worth entirely. You must anchor your self-esteem in the one place that is unshakable, your own character. Your worth is not in what you have or what you have achieved. Your worth is in who you are. Your worth is in your choices, your actions, your integrity. These are the things in your second box. When the feeling of being an imposter arises, you do not argue with it on its own terms. You do not try to list your achievements to prove it wrong. That just reinforces the idea that your worth is based on those achievements. Instead, you apply the filter. You acknowledge the external success. Yes, I received this promotion. Then you immediately strip it of its power to define you. But this promotion is an external thing, a preferred indifferent. It is nice to have, but it does not add to or subtract from my true worth as a human being. Then you turn to your kingdom. You ask, did I earn this through honest effort? Did I act with integrity in my pursuit of it? Am I committed to performing this new role to the best of my ability with virtue and dedication? If the answer is yes, then that is the source of your pride. Not the title, the effort, not the praise, the character. You can feel worthy not because of what other people have given you, but because of what you have demanded from yourself. Your worth is no longer a fragile thing, dependent on the fickle opinions of the world. It is a fortress built on the bedrock of your own choices. This is the path of self-mastery. It is a relentless daily practice of sorting the world into two boxes. The things I can't control, I will meet with acceptance and calm. The Stoics called this amor fati, the love of fate. Not a passive resignation, but a powerful embrace of reality as it is. Why waste energy wishing it were different? The energy is better spent elsewhere. And the things I can control, my thoughts, my judgments, my actions, I will meet with ferocious dedication and virtue. This is where my work lies. This is where my life is forged. This is not a path of ease. It is a path of discipline. It is a spiritual warfare that you must wage every single day. The old habits of mind, the voice of the cynic, will not go down without a fight. It will test you. It will look for cracks in your armor. But now you have the weapon. You have the strategy. You have the one simple, profound truth that can cut through all the noise and all the fear, leaving you standing in the quiet, powerful, unshakable citadel of your own mind. The cynic within you, that old, tired bodyguard, is now facing its greatest challenge. For its entire existence, it has operated on a single premise, that your happiness and worth are determined by the chaotic, unpredictable world outside of you. It has shown you a mountain of evidence, every rejection, every failure, every bit of bad luck, to prove its case that trying is futile and hope is a poison. It has built a compelling, logical, and deeply flawed argument for your surrender. But now you have introduced a new piece of evidence into the courtroom of your mind, a truth so fundamental it reframes the entire case. The truth that your well-being is not, and never was, a product of the external world. It is, and always has been, a product of your own choices. The cynic's power is waning. You can feel it. When it rears its head now, its arguments sound different. They sound hollow. It whispers, "But what if you fail at this new venture?" And for the first time, you have a real answer. My success is not measured by the venture's outcome. It is measured by the quality of my effort and the integrity of my actions. In that, I will not fail. It screams, but they might reject you. They might laugh. And you can calmly reply, "Their thoughts belong to them. My peace belongs to me. I will not trade my peace for their approval." It tries one last, desperate tactic. It plays the victim. This is all just a trick to ignore reality. You're just burying your head in the sand, pretending bad things aren't bad. And you can stand firm and say, "I am seeing reality more clearly than ever before. I see that events are just events. The only power they have to harm me is the power I give them with my own judgment. I am not ignoring reality. I am refusing to be its slave." This is the cynic's last stand. With its core premise shattered, its arguments become powerless. It can no longer hold you captive with the fear of the uncontrollable, because you no longer seek to control it. You have moved your headquarters. You have relocated your sense of self to a place that fate cannot touch. This is not a one-time fix. It is the beginning of a lifelong practice. It is a mental muscle that must be exercised every day. Each morning, you can remind yourself of this principle. Throughout the day, when you feel the old pangs of anxiety, anger, or despair, you can pause and perform the sorting. Is this thing that is upsetting me in my control or not? You will find, again and again, that the source of your distress is your attempt to wrestle with the things in the first box. And each time you consciously release them and refocus on your own actions, you strengthen that muscle. You reinforce the walls of your inner citadel. What is the ultimate benefit of this practice? What does the future look like for the person who masters this single Stoic truth? It is not a life free from pain or difficulty. The world will still throw its challenges at you. People will still be difficult. Misfortune will still strike. The Stoics never promised a garden of roses. They promised a fortress in the middle of a battlefield. The goal is not to eliminate external problems, but to develop an internal state of mind that is impervious to them. The future you are building is one of quiet strength. It is a future where you can face uncertainty with calm, because your peace is not dependent on certainty. It is a future where you can take massive, ambitious action, because you are liberated from the paralyzing fear of failure. You can love fully, because you are not terrified of the pain of loss. You can lead with integrity, because you are not addicted to the praise of your followers. You will become a person who moves through the world with a sense of purpose and grace. While others are being tossed about by the waves of their own emotions, reacting to every headline, every insult, every minor setback, you will be the one standing firm on the shore, your gaze fixed not on the chaotic sea, but on the compass in your own hand. Your energy, once wasted on a million worries, will now be a concentrated beam, directed with intelligence and power toward the things that truly matter. Your character, your contributions, your duties. The cynic in you has been offered its final bet, a wager on this single, powerful truth. The voice of doubt will not fall silent with a single blow, but you now hold the weapon to answer its every charge. You have the power to dismantle its arguments, to starve it of its fuel, and to relegate it to a quiet corner of your mind, a relic of a past self who did not yet know where his true power lay. The real question is not whether this works. Generations of resilient souls have proven that it does. The question is, what will you build? What will you become? When you finally redirect all the energy you once spent on doubt into the life you were meant to command? What great work will you undertake? What relationships will you deepen? What character will you forge when you are no longer a prisoner to the fear of the uncontrollable? Let that question echo, not in doubt but in relentless creation. Your true work begins now.